Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all on behalf of the Anjumana Islam's IHMCT. May I request the participants to kindly keep their microphone and videos turned off during the webinar. We will take questions at the end of the session. Please put your questions in the chat section. Anjumana Islam is a premier educational conglomerate and social organization in India, established in the year 1874 by a group of visionaries led by Justice Badruddin Tyabji, third President of Indian National Congress and the first acting Indian Chief Justice of Bombay High Court. More than 100 institutions are growing under the current leadership of President Dr. Zahira Kazi. Anjumana Islam's IHMCT is one of amongst the floral tiara of Anjumana Islam's Educational Trust since 1993. It is conveniently located in the heart of Mumbai at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, formerly known as VT, which covers the important business area of Mumbai. To prepare the students for life and work in an information-rich and a technologically driven world, the college offers courses of a 3-year part-time master's program in MSc in Hotel and Hospitality Administration from University of Mumbai from the academic year 2017-18. A 3-year degree program in Bachelor of Science Hospitality Studies from the University of Mumbai, launched in the year 2003-2004. It is a pioneer institute in Mumbai to have initiated these courses. It gives me immense pleasure today to introduce our host for today, Mr. Amit Gadiali. Mr. Gadiali is an alumni of the IHM Dadar, and after his industrial experience with Hotel Marine Plaza, ITC Grand Maratha, and Hotel Orchid, Amit sir has been with the Anjuman Islam IHMCT since February 2005. Over to you, Amit sir. May we please have your video?
Can you see me now? Can you guys see me?
Yes, sir. And clear as well.
So, अर्ज किया है, बेवजह है तभी तो दोस्ती है, बेवजह है तभी तो दोस्ती है, वजह होती तो साजिश होती. So, this week of Friendship Day, I wish Happy Friendship Day to all our participants, and welcome to today's webinar, Cruise Liner Career Talk. Come aboard and sail away. And so today we have two of my best good friends on the panel. Mr. Pramod Verma, who has MBA degree in Hospitality Business and Management from Aidan Smith University, USA, who's also done Train the Trainer course from Cunard, holds diploma in F&B service from IHM Mumbai, and few more diplomas and degrees from around the globe, has worked with Cunard Cruise Lines, Festival Cruise Lines, Hotel Le Royal Méridien. We work together at Hotel Marine Plaza and is presently working as restaurant operations managers with MV The World. He will tell you more about his company later. Pramod Verma is a thorough professional and bank of knowledge. And another one is, जैसे बोलते हैं ना दोस्त लोग, लंगोटिया यार है, Chef John Fernandez, who is in food production and patisserie craft course from IHM Mumbai, started his career with the Oberois, worked on Carnival Cruise Lines for around 18 years, worked as executive chef with the Big Nesty, has worked with Cult Fit Bangalore, and has now turned entrepreneur and will be opening his new project on this 15th August. Chef John Fernandez is, of course, a gem of a human being and one of my best good friends. And starting with the webinar, Pramod Verma will tell us what we need to know about career on cruise liners. So without wasting much time, over to you, Pramod.
Thank you very much, Amit and Kainas, for the introduction. I also thank everybody who's joining us, and we hope that you take some highlights from this webinar and make a great career in hospitality. We also have Chef John with us. He's also a very amazing professional with us. So I'm just going to start very quickly with the presentation. Yep. All right. So cruise ships, guys. So what is a cruise ship? So the cruise ship is basically a floating hotel where you have lots of people coming to have a vacation, spend their good time, spend their money, have a fun time, and enjoy themselves. So they want to go around the world in a very comfortable way and see what's happening, enjoy the culture, enjoy the history, enjoy the beaches, do the shopping, and all sort of things to have fun. So what is about the cruise industry? Why it's so lucrative and why it's so such an amazing industry where people are looking forward to make their careers? So guys, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go why people. First of all, I'm gonna go why people choose cruise ship to have vacation. I'm going to give you a couple of facts in front of you. If you see the growth of cruise company and the cruise industry has been phenomenal. Right now, I mean, if the COVID would not have come in middle of the season, probably cruise lines would have made 15 to 20 billion dollars this year as a total revenue. And new cruise lines coming up every year or so. Even though we are in COVID lockdown, and the business is not there, but you'll be amazed that there are 3 new cruise companies have been launched in last 3 months, and probably one more in the pipeline. So this is what the cruise industry is all about. I mean, it's a very fast growing industry. So what is the cruise industry gives what hotels are not able to give? The cruise industry gives is a few things which people around the globe are preferring cruising as source of vacation, including in India. If you would remember, last year we had our own first international Indian cruise lines, which was open. That was Jalesh Cruises. And the ship was MV Karnika, which is sailing from Mumbai to Cochin and Goa and Maldives and Sri Lanka, and then goes to, and when the rainy season comes, like now, right now, June, July, August, and will be positioned in Dubai to cater only to the Indian customers. You'll be very glad to know that the ship was almost 80 to 90% full every week. I mean, that was the demand of the cruise lines. The companies were sending their staff to have good time, and the marketing was done very well, and it became a very household name in the cruise industry. Even we working abroad in foreign countries were well aware that what is going on with Jalesh. So they have done what they have done is they've opened up a gate for Indian cruise industry to grow. If I would let you know that they were actually were planning to bring one more ship starting November this year, but I think due to the COVID, I think that will be on hold. But they were actually planning, and the ship was also allocated for them from PN Australia to join Jalesh Cruises, and they would have 2 ships. So 2 ships would have one ship and 1+1, 2 ships would become a bigger fleet, and so on. And their whole plan was to make 5 ships company. So can you imagine if you have 5 ships and how many jobs it's going to generate? So that was history of Indian cruise, just what is going on right now. Cruise ship is also, remember guys, cruise ship is very popular because it's a very hassle-free vacation. You just come on board, you put your bags into your cabin. You don't have to do that one. Somebody will bring your bags to your cabin. And then that's the moment your vacation starts. You don't have to worry about paying your bills. You don't have to worry about tipping somebody. From your home, the companies will organize pickup for you. You don't have to take a taxi. Airline tickets are booked for you. That's all the company does it. All the cruise companies and the agents of the cruise company, they do it for you. So you don't have to even do anything. You just have to pay the money, and that's the cruising begins. That's why people prefer it. The moment you come on board, everything is taken care of you. You have your beds made, your food is free, you have all the amenities which are on the ship, which is free. All the shows, musicians, recreational activities, jogging, yoga classes, gym classes, fashion classes, cooking classes, everything is just part of your package. So literally you're enjoying yourself without paying anything extra or anything which is hidden cost. That's why people prefer cruising. Also, if you are if you're on a vacation, let's say if you are going to Bahamas and you stay one day in Bahamas, the next day you're going to Puerto Rico, Can you imagine flying from one place to another, the planes, aeroplanes, the hassles, immigration, baggage, taxis, again, all those things comes into the picture. But cruising, you come back on the ship, you have a good night's sleep, you get up in the morning, the ship is already in Puerto Rico, already docked for you at 6 o'clock in the morning, you have your breakfast, you go out the whole day, you don't have to worry about anything, and you just enjoy the Puerto Rico for the whole day. You come back on the ship in the evening, again the same thing, you have your dinner, you party, you drink, again you enjoy, see the musical shows, again you sleep peacefully, again you get up, the ship is in Bermuda. That's why people prefer cruising, because it's very easy, it's very convenient. Also, um, besides, let's take an example. It's about the cost of having a vacation. Right now, there are just so many cruise lines, cruise companies in the world, which filter or cater to every part or level of the society. So even if you are not rich, if you are just a middle class working person, you still have a cruise company which can cater to your cost price, and it will give you the same facilities. So a bit more here and there. The luxury, of course, differs with the cost, but the overall experience would be amazing. So that's what the cruise lines are getting very popular and growing by the numbers. So what is included in the cruise ship? Of course, your food is included. When you go to the cruise ship, all your meals, you can eat whatever you want, wherever you want. It's free of cost, except for specialty restaurants. That's where you have to pay the money, but that will come back to later. I will leave the chef John to explain what is that all about, because that's kitchen and culinary. I will leave it him to explain. And there are dining rooms. You can see this. I've put two pictures of dining room. You can see how vast they are. But the main dining rooms are, like you can see, the top picture is what ground 1 and 2 levels. So there are 3 levels of dining room. Again, in the bottom, you can see a different ship with the 3 levels of dining rooms. Dining rooms are amazing. You're serving 1,200 to 2,000 people in one sitting. So you probably finish 4 to 5,000 people in the evening for their meals and for their dinners. Of course, they can go to the buffet. The 24/7 buffet is always open, so you can eat even 3 a.m. in the morning, 4 a.m. in the morning, whatever you want. It's all there. Juice, coffee, tea, everything is part of your package. Of course, alcohol and drinks would be charged as per your consumption. So what the companies have done, they have done packages. So when you go on the ship, you don't have to worry. If you are a guy who drinks Coca-Cola all the time, you can take a Coke package. That's it. You pay a wholesome price, which is very, very moderate, and you can drink as much Coke as you want. You can drink 50 Coke cans if you want in a day, no problem. Same thing with your wines and your beer or whatever you drink, alcohol. You can take a package and you can just keep on drinking as much as you want. So that's why the cruise companies are popular, because it makes life easier for the person who's cruising. So that was why people prefer cruising a lot, and its industry is growing about 15% a year. So what is happening now? All the major cruise companies like the Royal Caribbean and the Carnival Cruise Lines and the Norwegian Cruise Lines, which is taken 3 big names, which probably, if you add up together, sums up to 80% of the cruise industry. But they have a lot of companies underneath them, and there are a lot of brands, which we'll discuss one at a time when we get. It's a big topic. So they dominate the market of the cruise companies, and as the ships are getting bigger and bigger, so you need more and more staff. Right now, the average ship size is around about 2,000 to 3,000 people. I'm talking about an average ship, which requires at least 1,500 staff members plus their rotation as well. Of course, you want to work, you want to go home, somebody will replace you as well. So that is a requirement. As the ships are getting bigger, right now the ships which are coming out are about 6,000 passengers or guests, and around about 3,000 crew members plus their rotation. Of course, somebody needs to replace them so they can go on vacation. So can you imagine if there are right now 2020, there were supposed to be 9 ships launching, but unfortunately it didn't happen because of the COVID-19 situation. So all the ships have been postponed to 2021. So there are approximately 10 ships coming in 2021. Probably approximately size of 4,000 people to 6,000 people. The world's one of the biggest ships is under construction. It's almost ready. Another one ship with Carnival, it's almost ready as well, but they're not launching because there's no market right now. So can you imagine if you need 4,000, 5,000 people to work in one ship? So if the company has, like Carnival have 30 ships, So you can imagine how much people they need and where they're going to source from. They're going to source from countries where hospitality is prime. They can get good candidates, or the students or the candidates are well trained. So that's why they come to India. India is probably the second biggest nation after Philippines, which provides staff to the cruise lines companies, especially in the main focus is because of our culinary skills. The kitchen is the most dominating part where Indians are recruited. Of course, there's restaurants and other departments as well, but kitchen is the biggest focus because you get good, talented chefs from India, well-educated, well-trained in big hotels like Oberoi's, Taj, Hyatt, Marriott. And of course, the biggest asset of an Indian would be that they can speak English. So I'm just giving you a hint, gentlemen, boys and girls, please work on your English. That's your first hint to have a good career. Because if you have a good English and a good command of English, that will take you a lot further. Because if you can speak and relate, that will be an asset. Because remember, guys, if you have a chef coming from France or Italy or Germany, English is not their best trade. I mean, they might be a very good in kitchen, but unfortunately, they cannot deliver or speak very good English. That's where an Indian have an edge over this European countries. All right, so let's go to the departments. We have the galley department, or as we say, galley in the ship, or kitchen, as we say. So you're going to have a lot of positions: galley utility, cooks, sous chef, chef de cuisine, and executive chefs. Then you have restaurants. Of course, you're going to be starting as a commie or a busboy, and then you're going to go up: assistant waiter, waiters, head waiters, maitre d', F&B manager. The bars. I will come back to that later in a few more slides. What is all about the bars: beverage manager, bar waiter, wine waiters, bartender. These are all the positions where you can start or build up your career. But of course, you're going to start from the bottom places. Of course, the guest services, as we call it on the ship, or reception, you call in the many countries, or the purses. So these are the positions: receptionist, international hostesses, front office, concierge, chief purser, housekeeping as well. You have butlers, utilities, bedroom stewards, assistant housekeeper, and then you have chief housekeeper. So let's go. I'm going to give you a short video. This is about Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Please have a look. It's a very short video about the careers options.
What is ship life like?
Ship life. Oh, wow, that's a big question.
You got to see the whole world.
It is educational, that's for sure.
Well, it can be a bit busy.
We get to meet a lot of people here.
I've been with the company 5 years now, and I'm really enjoying it.
I've been working in the company for 10 years now.
Just about 5 months for me now.
10 years.
Just about 20 years for me now.
12 years.
12 years with the company. If I didn't join, I wouldn't be here today.
Well, the very first day I came, I wanted to go back home, honestly, because I was so scared, because everybody was just different to where I came from. And the surprising thing is that you have like so many different races and cultures, and some strange reason everybody just put together, and it's just warm. And you feel like you're home, you have your own family here, and it's a very welcoming experience, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Honestly, this company is like a school. Like you can improve yourself, develop yourself on this company very easily.
It's very nice. You'll grow as a people. You'll grow as a person. Really a good experience. For me, I believe I've grown so much since I came here. I'm an independent person now.
The travel is amazing. To do what we do, you would spend, I mean, tens of thousands of dollars to experience this. And so as a crew member, you don't do that. You get, it's the best of both worlds. You're getting travel, you're getting work, and you're getting the experience. So that's why I'm still here.
It's a pretty interesting. I don't think any other job in the world which gives you such an opportunity to travel around the world. I mean, in my 15 years experience, almost I traveled the entire world. I mean, I worked in all the different parts of the world, and at the time I'm leaving the job which is going to give me a great memories to carry with, not the question of how much money I carry with.
The company is giving you the opportunity to go so many places, to know so many different countries, not only by going to the place, but by knowing the people from that place. You're really growing as a person here. You are getting to know so many things. It's a really great experience. So if you're interested in going out, this is the best way.
Life at sea is rough. Life at sea is calm. And life at sea is cool because you live and you work on this ship, on this massive ship, and every day you get to see a different port. And in the night when you had a long day work, you just go outside on the deck and you just look at the sunset and you're on the sea. It's like a calming experience. And it's a journey every single day of your life because there's always something new to learn every single day.
Working on board has been such a great experience for me. I've met so many wonderful people.
This is my career.
This is my life. It's been a wonderful time for me.
This is not just my job, this is my home, and I love it.
So guys, that was a brief synopsis of what is a life on the ship is. I'm sure you guys might be very excited what these crew members were saying. As me and John, we've been on a cruise ship for many, many years. John has been for almost 17. He's almost quit, but I'm still on working on the ships. So that is part of our life. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's very different. You need to get used to it. As the lady said, the first day she wanted to go home. Exactly, that was the feeling is for every crew member. They want to go home. They don't like a bit when it started. But the moment you finish a couple of months on board, you start to like it. You start to like the atmosphere and the people around you. And then you have a great career ahead of that. Some people don't like it. They go home. Unfortunately, that's their choice. But me and John went on. John is in 17, stopped, is doing his own thing. I finished 18 and I'm still going on. So that's the difference. So guys, let's start with restaurants. Okay, food and beverage department is the biggest department on the ship. It includes all the dining rooms, all the bars, the galley, and all the provision operations. Provision is basically storekeeping, as we say on the ships. Okay, the food and beverage manager or the director is the head of the entire operation, which also includes as executive chef under his command, but he is actually linked to F&B manager more as an associate than a command leader. Okay, so there are a lot of jobs on food and beverage departments. It's divided into basically restaurant, bar, room service, and galley. These are basically 4 areas where the food and beverage is divided on the cruise ship. Restaurant is divided into a few areas as well, where you have the main dining rooms, where the big dining rooms, as we showed you the pictures. Then there's a buffet restaurant, and then you have the specialty restaurant, and then there's room service, and that's one area is officers mess, where the officers eat and the staff and the crew mess. So the restaurants are also, guys, divided into different sections. That's where the difference is between a land job and a ship job. You still have in a hotel, you have all the restaurants into one umbrella, but on the ship it doesn't work like that. There are different areas, and different people take care of different areas, and they report to their senior maitre d' or food and beverage or assistant food and beverage manager. So it's a bit different on there. Okay, so here you can see the picture of a gentleman serving afternoon teas, and then you can go to, let's say, the hierarchy, guys. If you're interested to working in the restaurant or a bar, you're going to start at the bottom. You can see buffet stewards. That's where you're going to start, and then you're going to go, or you might go as a junior waiter if you are very intelligent and have a lot of good skills, good speaking skills, competencies, and somebody one of the companies is taking an interview for you, and they find you very exciting and very talented, they might offer a junior waiter position. It does happen. It has happened with me. I never started as a buffet steward. I went straight as a junior waiter because of my knowledge. Because whatever they asked, I told them, I said I would like to work in a restaurant instead of a buffet steward. They offered me, I took it, and that's why I started. Same thing in the bar. You're going to start as a bar waiter or assistant bar waiter or a bar utility. Bar utility basically who helps the guys to set up cleaning and everything. So you can start from there, and then you can go up, rise yourself, grow as a career up to the position of food and beverage manager, and including, of course, you can go as a hotel director as well. That we're going to talk a little later on. So guys, you're going to start. You can see how many positions there is between the lower position and right now, let's say restaurant manager. I'm there, Metro D, and I've crossed almost 4 positions, and chef as well. He's crossed at least 4 or 5 positions. So it takes a bit of a time to reach to the higher level. All right. Also, I want to add, if you are interested in position of, if you're interested in wine, so there's a position called sommelier or the wine waiter. You have to do the other qualifications of a wine waiter, which is WSET, wine and service entrance level testers, which you need to cross and become a sommelier. That's an exciting position, guys. It's a great knowledge to have as a sommelier, and then you can become a chief sommelier. So just to let you know how the position goes as well. Now we go to the bars. Okay, the bar is basically which public areas and lounges which serves alcohol and all the drinks to all the guests as well. There are several bars on the ship. There's like almost like an average ship will have like 7 to 8 or 9, 10. Right now we have like 14 bars on some ships, and these bars are not like their ordinary bars. Some of the bars on bigger companies, on a Carnival Cruise Lines or Royal Caribbean, they are associated with a lot of brands on land, like Veuve Clicquot Ponsardin or Bionic Bar, where there are robots who are serving the drinks. Actually, robots makes the drinks. They are the arms, and so there are a lot of new factors coming into the service in the cruise ships. There's a lot of technology being used. Also, like where I worked in Cunard, there was a bar called Veuve Clicquot Ponsardin Bar. Veuve Clicquot, of course, people would know, is a champagne, and the French champagne house in France actually linked up to the company and said, listen, we want to open a bar on your ship which will sell only our products. So we had Veuve Clicquot Ponsardin champagnes which were not even launched in the market. They were all trials. They didn't match up to the standards, but they were available in our bar. So you can come and try at least 8 or 9 types of Veuve Clicquot Ponsardin champagnes, and you can enjoy. It's a different experience. But bar is also a guys where the companies make their revenue. So if you start as a bar waiter, I will tell you, you have your salary, but you're going to make your money from selling drinks. So you have a percentage of a certain percentage on every sale you do. It might be 10%, it might be 15%. It depends upon the company. So more you sell, the more money you make, guys. So this is the trick in bar department, where I said to you, restaurant, everything is complimentary. So there's nothing coming from the guests to the waiters, but of course there's tips in the end. And of course, if there's no tips, there would be a small, what we call it, a part of the revenue which comes to the waiters in the salary itself. But it's not, they don't have to push for anything. But in the bar department, if you're working in the bar, your salary consists of the sales you make. So just remember what exactly it is. Also in the wine steward, exactly the same. You're going to be selling wines. You can see this lady here in the middle selling a wine. This also is part of your salary. The more the wines you sell, more the money you're going to make. So it's all about your ability to sell the wines. Now we're going to go to the guest services or the purses, front office. So you have your, there's a hierarchy I've put down for you. You can have a quick look. So you have the hotel operational retail manager, which is like the hotel director or the front office manager. It might be different in different shifts. Let's say this is a front office manager. He handles night manager, receptionist, sales, shore excursion, loyalty, revenue, communication managers. So there's a lot of things is attached to the front office. So if girls or boys who want to join as a front office as a career, they can start as a receptionist, and then you can expand yourself in different positions. It's just not like you can only become assistant front office manager or the front office manager, because there's a lot of different areas. There's revenue partners where you can handle revenue of the ship. There's also customer services manager. These are people who technically only take care of customer complaints. and they are the one who are in charge for everything. They are in charge of bar complaints, restaurant complaints, kitchen complaints, a lot of things. So you can widen your horizon and grow in one of your areas and grow as a career as well. Of course, front office as usual. Everybody would know what jobs they do. It's basically guest relations, payments, concierge, lost and founds, announcements, money exchange, coordination, guest front desk manager, group administration. Of course, everything what a front office handles is very typical of what you guys do on the ship. Also, there's a few things which you have to do extra. This is more important and very, very tricky, because sometimes if you have, let's say, immigration issues in certain countries and you are the one who's handling it, it can become very tiresome, because to handle immigration authorities, it's a bit challenging around the world. Not every country has a smooth immigration system or a port authority systems which works very smoothly and very conveniently. Some of them don't even understand English, complications, daytime time, emails, they don't read properly, and you have a lot of work for that one. So that also you can handle as well if you are in the purses department. That's an additional job to whatever you're doing. So the level of responsibility on the ships is a little bit more than what you do on the land. Okay, and let's go to the next department. Just go quickly to the next. It's housekeeping. Of course, housekeeping is very important as to the standards of the guest in their cabins. Cabins are the rooms on the ship. We call them cabins. So you have a housekeeping manager, and then you have underneath the manager, you have administration housekeeper, then you have the assistant housekeepers, night housekeepers, and crew and public area housekeepers. Exactly the same what you have in the land, but the only difference is that you're handling also the butlers and suites and also the laundry. So it's a bit of a widened horizon of responsibility. You have there's an area where you have to clean, where in a normal hotel, you're going to clean your public areas and the rooms. But here now, because you are on a ship, you're going to clean decks as well. So you have a deck supervisor, which you're going to clean the decks. And an average ship would have around about 12 to 14 decks, and the bigger ships have 20 decks. So that's why you need a lot of more people to clean up the whole areas. There are deck cleaners, deck supervisors. Then you have pool attendants. There are at least 6 pools in a ship. Some may have 5, some have 4 jacuzzis and a sauna. And these all areas are being taken care of by housekeeping. So it's a bit of a wide range of responsibilities, again, in the housekeeping department as well. You're going to start as a utility if you are going to start in the housekeeping department. Because, of course, the most demanded or requested position is bedroom stewards or bedroom stewardess, where you can take care of the cabins. An average of number of cabins where a bedroom steward's clean is around about between 14 to 17, depending upon the company. So it's a lot of job, and especially when it's a turnaround day, or that means when one lot of passengers are going home and the new passengers are coming on an embarkation day, it's very busy, guys. Sometimes you end up doing 14, 15 hours a day, and it's long hours, but it's worth applying for the job. I got a lot of in my ship. I got 2 girls from India, one from Mumbai and one from Cochin, who are bedroom stewards, and they're fabulous workers, and they're enjoying it. They're from many years in different companies. So girls is more preferred in this kind of areas more than boys, but of course boys are also there. And the biggest advantage is, guys, if you are joining as housekeeping and you are talented, you have a good knowledge about food and beverage, I would recommend, if you can move to butler's position. If you become a butler on a cruise ship, you are going to make a gold mine. I can tell you that. There's a lot of money involved in it. There's a lot of people who try. And if you have the capability and you have the talent, you have the knowledge, you can go to the butler's position and then become a butler, then become a head butler. And that's going to take you to a very, very nice path. Butlers make a hell lot of money on the cruise ships. If you get a VIP guest to handle, I cannot tell you the amount of money my friends who are butlers make. Sometimes they make $3,000 to $4,000 in a week. That's around about 3 lakh rupees in a week. So if you're lucky, you make a jackpot. So of course, everything I've told you, all the positions, cabin steward, you're going to start. Then you can get hired to assistant housekeeper or a floor supervisor. And then you can also become an executive housekeeper. There are a lot of Indians who are executive housekeepers on the cruise ships, and you just need is talent and education and self-development from that part. Also, you have a bell staff. I just mentioned that bell staff is basically people who are bell team. They also have services which they involve newspapers, meals, flowers, and all these areas which they deal with the passengers. So there's a lot more positions you can apply for. Now, the most important department, galley, I would give it to Chef John to explain the kitchen and the galley, how it works, and the hierarchy as well. Thank you. Chef John? Kainaz, is John gone?
John?
No, he's around.
Chef John?
One second.
Paging for Chef John. Paging for Chef John. Come aboard, Chef John. Mr. Verma, may I request you to stop your screen share, please?
Stop my screen share? Okay.
Unless if it's...
I guess John will be speaking from this slide. So.
Okay.
John will speak from the same slide, so I'll leave the slides on for him.
Great, great.
Okay. So John, over to you. Kitchen के बारे में लोग बहुत पूछते हैं, John.
Mr. Macedonius, you're missing from the battlefield.
He had some network issues in the beginning. I guess he's facing the same.
Amit, this is the second time which is happening with me for the same slide. It happened with D.Y. Patil as well, where I have to speak about galley as well.
Just one second. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Chef.
Yes, John. Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
I think there's some network issue. Probably I'm not able to hear you guys on my headphone. Probably that's why. So coming to the galley, this is the complete hierarchy that we have. We start off with the galley utilities. Then we have the assistant cook. Then it goes to Commie 3, Commie 2, Commie 1, and so on and so forth. Then you go to DCDPs, chef de parties, sous chef. So galleys are divided into a main galley, cold galley, butchery, pastry, bakery. So this entire galley is headed by an executive chef. So when you apply for a position, you need to decide which kind of position are you looking for. So if you have pursued your career in a baker or a bakery, I mean, it won't make sense you going in the hot galley, because you won't be doing the right justice to the work that you are doing. So you'll probably have to look for a position in a bakery. So in the bakery, there is an assistant baker, there's a baker, and he's led by a head baker. Same goes with the position of the pastry. You start off as an assistant cook, Commie 3, Commie 2, Commie 1. That totally depends on the career that you want to pursue in the kitchen. I mean, kitchen is completely different what regards to from the hotel that we work in on land. And the entire kitchen is headed by executive chef, who is totally responsible for the entire operation. So he's the whole soul. So he's assisted by an executive sous chef and a sous chef for the hot galley. There's a sous chef for the cold galley. Then the pastry chef is also assisted by a sous chef. So these are the entire hierarchy of the kitchen, which we call galley and cruise ship. So as you know, as what Pramod mentioned earlier, saying that galley I mean food, which is one of the most important aspect of the cruise. As what he mentioned was also, it's free, right? So everybody presumes that whatever is available there, they need to grab. So that is one of the most important thing. That is, the food is available 24 hours, and it is in a high demand. And with that, we need to make sure that we give us the best quality of food that we can provide there. So the kitchen, as mentioned, we call it a galley on the cruise ship, and it's one of the largest unseen areas on board. So you will not find this area is work. The work pressure is immense, and there is a lot of diversity of things happening around there. So it's a non-stop 24/7 working area. So the galley is divided into a hot galley, a cold galley, a pastry, a bakery, a butchery. Then there are special dining where we have services wherein there is a separate cover charge for that. So there is a separate team working entirely for this. So in the galley, like how we work in the restaurants, every person who works there has a specific job that he needs to do. So for example, if you say there's a vegetable chef, there's a fish chef, there's a roast guy, there's a soup cook, and there's a saucier. So what does this all mean? So if the guy is working in a vegetable station, he'll be only doing vegetables for main courses and all the side dishes. So if he's a fish cook, so he'll be taking care of all the fish preparation for the day, whether it's a buffet or an a la carte or dining, everything has to be done by him. Same goes with the roast. He'll be completely responsible for his meats. So all the meats that are prepared on board the vessel, he has to coordinate with the butcher, pick up the meats, manage the meat, get the coordination with the sous chefs, with the demand for the day and the count that he needs to cook. Same goes with the saucier. So ideally, the most important areas of in the galley would be a saucier and a roast cook, wherein he needs to coordinate with all the other sections. Apart from that, there are 24-hour services on the open deck buffets, wherein we have a pizza, we have a burger station which are open all day. And this, apart from that, we have our crew messes. So we have a separate team in the crew areas where the person takes care of the crew mess, he takes care of the food in the officer mess and the staff mess. So there's a separate menu, there's a separate chef, there's a separate team completely taking care of this. And apart from all this, our most important person, or I would say the team that plays a very important role, are the utilities. So I would say they are the backbones of this industry, or this kitchen, because they are the ones who keep the kitchen completely clean and tidy and make sure that the kitchen is ready after every service. So I would say galley, if you guys want to pursue your career on the cruise ship, it's a beautiful atmosphere. Yes, it's an immense and a tremendous pressure that we have there, right? But it's a fun place to work, because we get to first you get to travel all around the world. Apart from that, you get to work with different kind of nationality of people. I myself, wherever I've worked with around 17 nationalities of people of people working around us. I really miss working on ships, but finally I've finished off my career though in ship life. But I really missed. I would say thanks to Pramod and Amit for getting me here and refresh my memories.
Thanks, John. Acha, John, I had a question here. Okay, well, I think a lot of my student also may have this in mind, but they may not actually know how to ask, or कई बार ऐसा होता है we don't even know what we don't know. So can you tell us what is CDC? Because I have heard a lot of cruise liners, they ask for CDC from an individual, and there are cruise liners which train their staff and provide them with CDC. So can you tell us in detail what exactly is CDC? John?
I think he's mute. John, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes, thanks, Mohammed. So CDC stands for a continuous discharge certificate.
It's continuous discharge certificate. Okay.
Yeah, continuous discharge certificate. It's sort of a passport for working on a cruise ship. It helps you to show that you are a seafarer. So you get all the benefits of a seafarer. So initially, this was not implemented for the cruise industry, but of late for the last 4-5 years, it has been a part, a mandate where we need to have this. So it's a very important part of document that you need to have it while you are wanting to pursue your career in a cruise.
And how does one acquire this?
So it's very simple. Ideally, you need to apply to this apply it online with the help of your agent, and this is a simple process. A few documents that are required. That is your STCW. So STCW is the safety and safety certificates that you need to do. That's a complete course of your firefighting. That includes your
Yes, so do you have to go through this course, or the company provides this training?
No, so these are the basic requirements for an STCW. You need to have all these basic certificates of safety courses. Apart from your culinary skills, there are a few things that a ship requires. That is, you need to be eligible to work on board the vessel. So you need to know in case of a fire, how do we do, or if there is a unforeseen incidents wherein the ship has collided, or probably the ship is sinking, and what are the necessary things that you will need to do. So apart from your own profession, you need to know all these other things that are very, very, very important in case of an emergency, or so these are the mandate certificates that we need to do.
Okay. So, all the participants, no questions from you guys so far? Quite surprising this time, because maybe Pramod sir, you can stop sharing the presentation.
Okay, I just wanted to do is I want to Amit end up in a one small slide which everybody should see.
Okay, please. So do that.
Here we go. Okay. Can you see that you're working on a ship, and when you come home, can everybody see the slide?
That was a nice one, Pramod.
That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
See, this is the real.
This is so apt.
Yeah, this is John would agree because he worked on the ship, and
absolutely.
This is very true. I can tell you many stories.
I totally agree. What Pramod just is showing right now. It's absolutely. I mean, you work for 8 months out there, and after that, when you're coming home, you're so excited. You want to just look fabulous. You know, I mean, that's exactly what it is actually.
Okay.
And,
yeah, go ahead, John.
Sorry, Pramod.
Yeah, I will tell you a real story. There was a girl from Manipur with me. She joined as a bedroom steward. If you guys would remember, if bedroom stewards make around about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, easy. So she was very charming. She was very smart. She was switched on. There's no doubt about that. And I saw her in the first contract, how she looked like. And when I saw her, she came to Mumbai for medicals for her contract. And I was there as well. That was her second contract. And I saw her, I could not recognize her. She was wearing Louis Vuitton shoes. She was wearing Zara dress. She had an iPhone in her hand. I could not even recognize her, how she looked like in 1 year time on the ship. Her hair was immaculate. Her makeup was expensive. And she looked like a model going for a medical test, and she was a bedroom steward. And next to him was sitting a chief engineer from a cargo ship. You couldn't imagine chief engineer making $9,000. He looked nothing in front of her. So that's a real life picture, I'm telling you. And it happens a lot. I mean, if you have money, people spend on themselves. And this is what exactly replicates a ship life. This is a real truth. When you work on a ship.
So Pramod, to add to that, you're working 8 months, you're slogging all your efforts, you're giving about 10 hours of your working day, and then 8 weeks, you want to make the best of it, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So then you want to, you need to, whatever you've earned, you need to spend it, and then back after 8 weeks, you're back to what is reality, it's back home.
That's correct. Work. That's correct. That's absolutely true. So just a very humorous ending on this presentation. So I'm going to close this one. So thank you.
So also to add to all whatever in a contract or 8 months when you start initially, right? 8-10 months, that place becomes like a second home. So the more you spend, more than your families, you spend with your colleagues you are working with. And if you are working on a small ship or a big ship, it depends on you tend to go back to the same ship. So you probably know them by the second or the third contract. And after a few years, it's like one of your family. Yes, you want to go home, but at the same time, you start missing your ship as well within a few days.
Okay. Okay, now we have a question in the chat section here. Sir, lots of time we hear something like if you work on cruise liners, you don't have career in land or hotel. Now, even I have heard this, that cruise experience does not count on land. So if you're working on a cruise liner for whatever number of years, okay, when you are grounded, say at your home in India, in Mumbai, or anywhere else abroad, especially if you want to work on land, job doesn't come that easy. How true is that? Can you enlighten maybe John or Pramod, one of you?
I think that was when I joined, when me and Amit were working in Marine Plaza, that was very true. People were not offered jobs from cruise ships, but I think it's changed a lot. I think it's all about people just perceive that, oh, you went to the cruise ship, you only go open the can of tomatoes and that's it, that's served. That's not like that anymore. Before, it used to happen like this in Carnival and a lot of companies. That was years ago. But right now, because as the cruise industry has changed, the cruise industry has developed, there's a lot of demand of fine dining and fusion cooking. Guys, every company, I will tell you right now, even John will agree, every big company has a tie-up with a very big Michelin star chef on the land, and they have their restaurants on board. I can tell you, if you Google up, whenever you get time, I will tell you, Carnival has, I have written all the list as well. I know this question will gonna come. Princess have Curtis Stone, who's a Michelin star chef. Royal Caribbean has Jamie Oliver and Chef Michael Schwartz. Then you have Johnny Rockets. Then you have in Seabourn, you have Thomas Keller. In another Seabourn, you have Nobuyuki Matyusha, who's a Japanese Michelin star chef. In Royal Caribbean, you have Guy Fieri, who's got a Guy Burger Joints in America. It's very famous. Atul Kochar, the famous Michelin star Indian chef, has a restaurant on P&O ships called Sindhu. He's trademarked those restaurants. Okay. Then you have Costa Cruise Lines have Bruno Barbieri. He's got his own restaurant chain in Italy, Tortellini. Then you have in Holland America, you have Rudy Saldamer, who has got his own Michelin star chef called Johnny Boer. In P&O, you have Marco Pierre White, who's got his own restaurant called Glass House. Then again, you have Curtis Duffy. I work with Curtis Duffy. He's got 2 Michelin star chefs. Then you have in Norway, Norwegian restaurant called Fagen, who's got 2 Michelin stars. I have a picture with Chef Jonas Ravik. I will share it with you whenever I get time. I did his 2 dinner. I was the restaurant operation manager when we did 2 Michelin star dinner in my ship. And then I had another chef from Netherlands who's got 2 Michelin star. His name is Chef Sunil Bahadur. You will remind his name is Indian, but he's not Indian. He's from Suriname, born in Suriname, born to Indian parents, grew up in Netherlands. He's a Dutch citizen. He's an amazing guy. Got 2 Michelin star restaurant, and he made a dinner for my ship in the world, being a Michelin star chef. So all these cruise companies have a lot of ventures with a lot of big chefs. So please do not think that they're just gonna be only chopping onions and putting food in the plate, sending it. It's not like that anymore. A lot of ventures have been gone into it. A lot of expansion of cuisine has happened. A lot of big chefs come to the ship. They do cookery demonstration and trainings and everything. So if you learn from them, I can bet you we don't have a single Michelin star restaurant in India. Do we? No, we don't. Okay. And
so to add to that, Pramod, I would say, yes, people think that it's very difficult. I agree to some part. You know why? The reason being is the salary that we get on board the vessel, they tend to accept the similar type of salary here. You know, so I mean, when you tend to work in US, you get your salaries in dollars, right? So when you come back to India, you come back to INR, Indian rupees. So when you need to understand that, obviously they will pay you according to the market standards. I mean, they are paying you there to the ship standards. So that mentality we need to understand. So I also, when I initially decided to quit ship, I was finding it difficult to get openings. I tried in a gap of about 2 years, 3 years in between. I couldn't, then I had gone back. So now I finally coming up with my own cloud kitchen that I'm coming up. So yes, so we need to just change our mentality of how we are going to do it.
Right. Of course, there are a couple of questions in the chat, but before I take those questions, Pramod, I will come back to you again and tell us more about the ship that you are presently working on, the World. The concept is very interesting. I find it very interesting. I want us participants also to know more about the World Residency.
Yeah.
Please, Pramod.
Yeah, okay. I work for a company called Residency. Residency, that means residence on the sea.
Yes.
So that means my ship, the name of the ship is The World, because it was designed to have people from all around the world who can sail on the ship. The ship is very unique. There's only one ship in the world so far like that. The second one is under construction. We don't know when it's going to come out. It's probably take 4 years. We don't know. It's got 165 apartments on board, and 165 apartments have owners. So we got 148 owners. Some owners have 2 or 3 apartments. So we have a smaller apartments, which is like, let's say 1 bedroom hall kitchen, which is around about $6 million. And then we have the bigger penthouses, which is around about $20 million.
Oh,
so you buy your house and you're going to pay yearly fees of $1 million maintenance, because that's your home. Of course, you're going to pay for oil, gas, food, salaries, taxes, everything else. So it's a very unique ship. So people who are owners, or as we call them, residents on board, are very, very highly rich entrepreneurs, successful CEOs and businessmen around the world. Unfortunately, because of my privacy clause, I cannot take names, but I can tell you that some of the people have straight links to Donald Trump, Mr. Narendra Modi, Mr. Mittal, Mr. Ambani, and you name Jeff Bezos. They got everything. They are linked to them. They know them personally. I've seen a lot of Hollywood stars in my ship. Unfortunately, I cannot take names. I can just give you, they acted in X-Men. They were all actors there, and they are family friends. So they just come like, it's their home. It's their home. You can come your home. So most of them, they come on the ship whenever we are traveling, because it's a very medium-shaped ship. We can go anywhere we want. And the residents decide where they want to go. They said, let's go to India tomorrow. Let's go India tomorrow. That's it. There's nothing to hold for. Let's go. Doesn't matter. The cost is, the best part of the company to work for is the cost is not an issue, because everybody is a billionaire and millionaire. So they just want to have, so everybody has their own lifestyle. But guys, it's a very demanding ship, because if you can imagine, if you have multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires on board, how demanding they are. They're very health conscious. They are They are successful businessmen. Everybody has multinational companies. They have hundreds and hundreds of staff working under them in their own countries. They have 10 houses, and some of them own multi corporations. So you cannot say no to them. It's very hard. We don't say no to them for anything. We just have to find a way. Sometimes, I tell you example, there was a lady who wanted to have Japanese strawberries. So the ship was in Australia. So I have to order Japanese strawberries. The Japanese strawberries were only costing $200, but the DHL cost $1,000. But that's it is. We have to get for her because she wanted to have Japanese strawberries for breakfast. And I cannot say no to her because she is my resident. She pays my salary. So can you imagine the thing which costs only 100 rupees, I have to pay 1,000 rupees for a courier. But that's the way it is. But remember, guys, if you want to work in my company, we always have openings around, but you have to be super smart to come to that company. If you get a chance in your career, if you want to join us, if you want to read about that company, the company has got great stories, and it's a very, very luxurious environment to work in. But you have to be very, very careful because you can't make a mistake.
Okay. Thanks, Pramod. Now we have another question here. If Pramod, since he is still working with the cruise liners, I'll ask Pramod this question. Can diploma students join the cruise line?
Yes, yes. See, guys, remember when you first thing you need, let's start from the base. What you need to get it right. Let's say if you have a diploma, I myself had a diploma. I didn't do a degree, but Amit would agree that I worked on my knowledge a lot. I gained a great knowledge, which a degree-year-older student would probably get. So
I agree with that.
Yeah. So
better than me.
Yeah. No. He's being modest. But I worked very hard. Amit was with me. We worked together a long time. I used to be very focused because that was the only chance given to me. I worked on my great knowledge. When I went for the interview, the companies who come for interview will see that you have some sort of qualification. It doesn't matter you have a degree or a diploma. They want to see that at least you've been to hotel school where you have clear your basics. That means you know what a teaspoons look like. Because on the ship, nobody has time to teach you a teaspoon or a pasta or a knife or a bread roll. Nobody has time. They will tell you, listen, you're not fit for this job. Thank you very much for coming, and you can go home. But if you have that basic knowledge, and when they ask you questions, and if you can crack that interview, they will take you. And if a degree holder will not be able to crack it, they will not take him. It's simple as that.
Right. I remember our time when we were in the hotel, Pramod will agree that there were people who were apprentice, who had joined as apprentice, who didn't even have a 6 months craft course like you have.
Yeah.
Even John, for that matter, has does not have a full diploma in hotel management. But you guys are doing wonders. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would be an issue. Another question, let us see.
Amit, I just want to add one more line to that even
Yes.
if you have a diploma, make sure when you start working, you work for a very good organization. That will be highlighted on your CV. That's where they're going to pick you up for the interview. They're not going to pick you up from your college qualification for an interview. They're going to pick you up. When now being a restaurant manager, I have a say when my F&B manager asked me to evaluate the resumes. We don't look what you have done in education. What we look at where you have worked. Have you worked for good organization?
Right.
Because we don't want only bookish knowledge. We want also that you have practical knowledge and you're dealing with great clientele or good organization. So even if you have a diploma, but you're working for Four Seasons or JW Marriott, I'm sure it will put you ahead in the interview list, because if even a degree holder is gone to work for a smaller hotel, they will not filter that one out because they're looking at where you have worked. So that's the key, the organization you have started with.
Okay. We are time actually, it's our webinar was for 1 hour, but we have extended, and I think the session was so informative by itself that the questions that we had were though limited but very practical. But one thing I like to make clear to all our listeners, whoever is, after listening to John and Pramod are, excited about the dollars, that life is not bed of roses, right, Pramod? John, on sea, maybe something about the difficulty that one has to face.
I think I should give John a chance to speak
Yes,
first, and then I will speak. Sorry.
John can tell us more about that.
So initially, when you start your career on a cruise ship, you're first of all you're working on a floating ship. It's in waters, right? So you need to adjust to that kind of a life. You're working on a land. You're just working just normal, and you go back home after you finish. But here when you come, you have to adjust to the lifestyle that is the way the ship goes. So it's a ship. So probably there must be one good day or a bad day. There's one rough sea or a rough weather, and that normally does happen. So adjusting to that is a little in the initial stage. You need to adjust because people tend to get seasick and motion sickness and all. They're not adapted to that kind of an atmosphere. And also the work environment. When you are in India, you're working with your colleagues with your same nationality. And when you go there, you work with about different nationalities. So there are about 17, 18 nationalities that you work with. So in a kitchen, in a galley, you are dominated with an Indonesian or a Filipino. So their culture and their behavior is completely different. We need to adapt to their culture. So like here what we do and what they do is completely different. So that things has to be adjusted and balanced. And once that, so it takes about a month or so. So first contract, I would say, if you survive the first contract, you'll make it.
Okay. Pramod, anything to add?
Yeah, I think John has said everything correct. I would just mention that there's a few things very basic. We always, whenever somebody is new joining, we always have a chat with them. Is that please share if you are a new to the ship, please share your difficulties to your supervisor, whatever they are. If you're working in a very good company, like I work for a very good company, so my job profile is that I have to take care of new joiners. That comes under me. So that's why all the supervisors right now, when I joined cruise ship or when John joined cruise ships, I didn't have an HR manager. I didn't have any time logs, but things have changed dramatically after 2008. Now you have timesheets or time logs. You check in and check out electronically. Your time logs have been carefully handled. That also is a part of it. That's my job in my area. And it will be John's job when he will work in the galley. So galley managers or restaurant managers or chef de cuisines, they are the one who take care of the numbers of hours you're working. If you're working, there's MLC regulation. MLC is Maritime Labor Convention regulation right now, where you cannot exceed 14 hours in a day. So maximum you can work is 14 hours a day. And you will be getting an overtime after 10 hours, which is your contracted time. So that's what we have to, things have changed anymore. It's not like, oh my God, you're going to work 16 hours a day anymore and you will not get good sleep, and that things have changed. If you have any personal issues, you can always go to human resources manager, who is always there to take care of that one. Of course, there's supervisors, your F&B manager who can take care of a lot of issues. So everybody has issues. We try to solve them out. Yes, it is a difficult part. I tell you why. Okay, I'll just give an example. When you work in a restaurant on a land, Monday is quieter, Tuesday gets a little bit more busier, Wednesday gets more busier, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays are your busiest time, right? It's mentally prepared. This doesn't happen on the ship. So the Monday, Tuesday is same. So Monday, Tuesday, Saturday is all same. You are going to serve your guests, 20 guests every evening, every breakfast, every lunch. So the difference is intensity. In restaurants in the land, you get a chance to relax on Monday, because remember we were on Monday in Marine Plaza. There was like, oh my God, party tonight. 10:30 close, everything, night buffet is clean. It doesn't happen on cruise ship because the number of guests are going to be the same every time. So that means the intensity of the work on cruise ships is more higher than on the land.
Right.
Okay, I'm just giving you the basic technical difficulties, what people say. This question has been raised all my webinars.
Also to add to what Pramod said, like the working hours, you can't work more than 4 hours at a stretch. So when you log in, you need to make sure you have your breaks during that period of time. And also, Pramod, to add to this, Monday, Tuesday is not the same. The only difference is when there is a sea day and a port day.
Right.
So normally lunch is a little quiet because port day, when we dock, the passengers are out on excursions and also there are a lot of people who are outside. So that day is a little easier day wherein there are not too many guests on board.
Yeah.
So that's the only time you get to relax. But the most busiest is the CED when we are at sailing at sea and everybody can't go out. So that's the most busiest.
Yeah.
Okay. We are actually running short of time, so we will just take few questions. There are a couple of questions. एक तो बहुत ही simple है कि whether the salary is more on cruise liners or whether it is more on land. Cruise liner पे ज़्यादा पैसा है भाई any day. Okay, वो तो तय है. Anyways, we will take another question. Last question: how many years land experience is needed to join cruise liner? And another question is, how do we get to know that there is an interview? Like basically how we will get to know about the interview put by the company. I'll ask this question to Pramod simply because he is still working, whereas John अभी land पे आ गया है. So
what is the first question?
How many years land experience is needed to join cruise line?
Okay, I would say minimum of, you can when you finish 2 years of land experience, you can start applying. They would ask you for 3 years experience, at least 2 or 3 years. I think galley is more easier in that way. Galley, they will ask probably 2 because the demand of galley chefs are more than the restaurant staff. Okay, so they will actually with the moment you finish 2 years, you can start applying, and I would say by 6 months or a year time, you might hit a target. So by the time you finish your 3rd year, you already got a job. So 3 years is, I would put 3 years as a basic requirement for any areas. Okay, you might get even luckier in 2 years. You never know. Some of the people working with us got it in 3 years. Amit, if you remember, they were gone on the ship already. It depends.
Right.
If a new ship is coming, they might pick you up in bulk. So that's it. You might get.
We have experienced that.
Yeah,
we were working just for students. I mean, it was more like I don't know. It was funny that time.
Yeah.
You know, one Thursday evening, 4 stewards will come and say, "Senior, आज ही मैं सुबह आके पेपर डाल के गया. कल छुट्टी डाला है. Sunday I am flying."
Correct.
एक साथ में एक आउटलेट से 4 जन उड़ते थे एक साथ में.
Correct.
You have experienced that.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what happens. And the second question was that
how do we get to know that there is an interview?
Okay.
Like basically, how will we get to know about the interview put by the company? I'm just phrasing the question as it is put here.
Okay. Right now, because the technology has developed so much and the internet services become so great and so good. Most of the agencies, like I will give you names: Airborne, Hiren International, Indus, Kamakshi, and various others. All the companies would put ads in newspapers, in Facebook, on their LinkedIn pages. That's for sure. So I would recommend everybody, the moment you start your professional career, please join LinkedIn. Not for Facebook chats and all, but as a professional career, make your LinkedIn account, because LinkedIn is very accessible for professional dealing. So, and you will join, you can follow, let's say there's an airborne page on LinkedIn. You can just say follow. The moment you follow the LinkedIn pages, whatever they will put automatically will be coming to you, and you will get a reminder quickly. You don't have to even look for it. So that's what you can do. That's the best thing about it, is because I'm not sure you might get time to read the newspaper or something, but LinkedIn and Facebook pages, they will 100% put post. That's for sure. They will put post on 100%. And of course, you can, right now the media is so strong. The moment you see news about cruise ship, if you Google every morning cruise ship jobs, you will get it. You can do it on your smartphone. I mean, it's easy. I mean, you can go, when you're in catering college, you can go on a lunch and you can just do it. It's very simple nowadays to find a job. But the only thing is, my only recommendation is, please do not fall for agents, false agents. That's it. Go to genuine companies.
Right. So, like we said, it's a sea of knowledge, both of you here, with great amount of cruise line experience, and of course, time was the only constraint here. Otherwise, we are not short of the things that we have for students. So what I will do, since I said कि दोनों मेरे एकदम खास दोस्त है, if any one of you has any question, you can direct it to me straight personally on my WhatsApp, and I will forward it to Pramod or John, whoever I think will be the best person to answer your particular query. So, of course, we will end the webinar here, but if you guys have any doubt, you can always ask me and I'll make sure that these are answered. So, on behalf of our institute, I'd like to thank Pramod Verma and John Fernandez to come here on the panel and share their experience. And of course, I'd like to thank our principals, Dr. Rukshana Billi Moria and Mr. Harish Suvarna, for giving me this opportunity where I could invite you guys. And of course, my backup team, Kainaz Dastur and Kranti Bhangre, for the technical support that they extend, without which, of course, no webinars would be possible. So on that note, we'll end today's session. Guys, all of you, stay home, stay safe. Okay. Chef John has shared his official YouTube channel here. So you guys can subscribe, like and share. And whatever questions that you may have, you can ask Chef John personally directly on the chat section of those channels.
Amit, I just
hey guys. Yes, Pramod.
Just to finalize, everybody, we're doing a small training course on cruise line professional program. I think I told Amit about everything, and
right.
it's a 2-week course. We're doing via online teaching method. I put a link on the chat if somebody's interested. It's a certificate course given by a company, and I'm the one who's taking care of it. It's a 10-day course. If you want to increase your knowledge, how to work on a cruise ships, how to give the interviews, what the technical part is, we're going very deep inside all this program and give you a extensive knowledge about how the cruise ship works. So when you appear for the interview, you will not be that much scared, and you'll be more confident to crack that interview and get a job on the cruise ships.
Okay.
So I would like to thank Amit. Thank you for having me here. It was a nice experience, and any one of you can get in touch with me on these links, and I will be surely willing to help you all if you have any queries with regards to this. So I mean, cruise ship is still in my blood there. I will still need some time to get it off.
And yes, also if anyone is looking out for a job, and if someone stays close to Andheri West, do contact John. He has got an opening.
Thanks,
I'm coming up with a cloud kitchen right now.
Okay. So guys, we'll end today's session. Hope you guys enjoyed as much as we did presenting it. Thank you very much, guys. Stay home, stay safe, be good. Take care.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks, Kainas. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Verma. Thank you, Chef John. On behalf of the Anjuman Islam's IHMCT, I would like to thank our panelist and moderator for sparing their time. For future webinars, please visit our website, www.anjumanihmct.org. Signing off, Team Webinar, AII IHMCT. Stay safe.